Good morning, everybody. It's Colin, Prenger, the Everyday Pilot. We're here in Series 218 Delta Foxtrot. We're on a solo flight today, doing some training. And we're going to do some commercial maneuvers. Looks like a nice overcast day, so it'll be nice and cool. No instructor, the plane will climb nice and quick. So, yeah, let's get started.
Hey everyone, it's Colin, and while I'm taxiing here just for a second, I just want to let you know my recorder actually stopped recording right after I took off for this flight. So instead of you hearing me talking on the radio in the cockpit and stuff, I'll be narrating what I'm doing instead, and it'll be a more thorough instructional video for you. So sit back and enjoy.
Centennial ground, Cessna 9443 Lima, North Runner Bay, run-up is complete, southwest departure, information kilo.
Cessna 9443 Lima, Centennial ground. Follow the Cirrus on Alpha northbound, runway 17 left, taxi via Alpha.
17 left via Alpha will be number 2 behind the Cirrus, 43 Lima.
58 Delta Foxtrot, monitor tower, good flight.
Over tower, 8 Delta Foxtrot.
Cessna 43 Lima, number
Cirrus 218 Delta Fox, Centennial, left turn southeastbound approved, runway 17 left, curve takeoff.
Curve takeoff 17 left, southeast approved, Air Cirrus 8 Delta Foxtrot. Approach engine is clear.
Roger, continue, traffic slowing in position.
Continue. Rolling around the corner.
Cessna 9443 Lima, Centennial, runway 17 left, line up and wait, traffic assessed on a 3-mile left base.
Line up and wait, 17 left.
Power set. Airspeed's alive. Engine looks good.
Number 02 Romeo, turn towards, or correction, just continue present heading and contact the tower on 123.7, and you can expect runway 17 right.
23.7 and continue present heading through Romeo.
So once I cruise south a bit, south of Centennial, and far enough to get out from the second large ring of Denver class Bravo that the floor is at 8,000 feet. Out in this area, in the practice area, it's only 9,000 feet. But as I was going further south, if you look on the horizon there's a very low bank of clouds, and I really wasn't expecting that, and I didn't see that on the weather. So it kind of made me think a bit about my game plan, because I couldn't go further south to get out from under the class Bravo, because then I would lose sight of the ground, and I did not want to go into IMC. And if I stayed where I was now and did some maneuvers that required to climb in altitude, I knew I would bust that class Bravo. So I was trying to think of what I could do. Could I go to the southwest practice area? Then I thought, no. This plane's already slow enough, and I don't want to travel like 50 miles back to the northwest to the southwest practice area. So my idea was to kind of do the maneuvers that didn't require much climbing. So maybe a chandelle, and definitely not a steep spiral, because that requires 10,500 feet out in this area because of the high terrain, and I knew that that would be a busting the class Bravo where I am now, or if I go further south I would enter that cloud bank or be just above it. So I had to keep this flight kind of short today. Right now I'm lining up to do steep turns, which is usually the first maneuver I do as kind of a warm-up exercise for both my brain and my flying hand. As you can see, there's a long road just off the nose, and I'm turning to line up with that. I usually use long roads, or if there's no roads where you're practicing, then you just bug a heading, and that's where you kind of start. And also a good idea is to bug the altitude you're entering in, because that's kind of your base. There go, I set the altitude right there. And on the commercial PTS, you have to do a turn 50 to 55 degrees of bank. You have to stay within 100 feet of your entry altitude, and you have to roll out upon completion of the maneuver within 10 degrees of your starting heading. So it's very similar to your private pilot's license, but another big difference here is that once you roll out of your first turn, in the commercial you have to transition straight into the opposite direction turn. You really don't have time to sit there for a couple seconds and kind of readjust and make sure your head's still on straight and you're still fine. In the commercial you don't have that luxury, so you kind of have to transition straight into the other direction of the turn. And what's difficult about that is once you come out of a steep turn, like a 50 to 55 degree bank turn, is that you're going to have the plane's going to want to go up very rapidly, 500 feet to 1,000 feet in absolutely no time. So when you come out of that turn, I always kind of shove the nose down just a touch so I don't balloon up. And you could see there on my VSI, I ballooned up just a touch. A big thing examiners like to see on the check ride of your commercial is that even though you might not be able to achieve and hold a 55 degree bank turn throughout the entire turn, I think they'd much rather see you have a coordinated turn than achieving the full 55 degree bank turn. Because really you're trying to show and demonstrate the mastery of your plane, that you can control the plane with precision and be nice and slow and smooth with the controls. So I roll out on the heading there, on the same road, maybe just a little bit off there. I think that was because of the wind. And now I think it's on to the next maneuver. At this point, after I finished my steep turns, I kind of reevaluated the clouds to make sure they weren't creeping up on me, and they kind of were, so I was a little bit worried about that, but I just made sure to keep an eye on it. So next is the chandelle, and I have to maneuver here to make sure I don't go high and bust up into class Bravo. So I just kind of did a quick descent right there, kind of just dropped the nose by over 2,000 feet per minute or so. Gotta have some fun while you're flying, right? So the basis of a chandelle is doing a course reversal while gaining the most altitude in the smallest amount of distance. So if you have a big bank of clouds coming up ahead of you, kind of like I do on this day, and you need to climb up and you need to just turn the other way towards clear air, that's what a chandelle is. So you can see here I already started it. First part of a chandelle is to roll into a 30-degree turn, and you kind of just start pulling back on the stick to 12 degrees pitch up. It'll vary from plane to plane. And the idea is to come around 180 degrees, and just as you come around the corner right here, I don't think you can hear it on the video, is just to get the stall horn to go. And you have to be within 5 or 10 knots, I forget what PTS says, of the stall horn before you can recover. And then once you hear the stall horn go off, then you recover and try to lose as minimal amount of altitude as possible, and then accelerate and continue on to the next maneuver. Next maneuver I did was the 8s on pylons, which is basically 2 turns around a point in the shape of a figure 8. That's kind of all it is. But I found the hardest thing is not actually maintaining your turn around that point, but actually choosing the 2 points that are properly spaced apart. What I found works was about 3/4 of a mile, and again that'll vary on the speed you're going and the type of aircraft you're flying, but 3/4 of a mile is a pretty good distance between the 2 points. And entry into the 8s on pylons is 45 degrees in relation to one of your points. So if you imagine a figure 8 drawn on the ground, you're kind of entering on that intersection between the 2 points, and then you start your right or left turn, whichever direction you choose to go. And you do kind of a, between 25 and 40 degree turn based on the wind. Also, a wind has a big factor on this maneuver. And going around, you're expected to maintain your altitude within 100 feet, 10 knots on your airspeed, and just being able to stay over your point and correcting for that wind. And hopefully you don't have that strong of a wind, so you don't have to do that much compensation. So right now I've already picked out my point in the maneuver, and I believe it's that intersection just down to the left, and sorry I look back and forth so many times here. But I start the turn there, so that looks like that intersection on the road is the point that I chose. And you can see I kind of turned a little bit too early because you kind of will want to keep that point on the wingtip. So I might be a little bit close to, but you can see it's starting to catch up with the wingtip. So once you get into it, if you kind of screwed up, you can kind of catch up and kind of cover up your mistake. Just don't let the examiner know that. Don't give them any indication that you screwed that up. So coming around the corner here, it looks like we're going downwind now because that bank's pretty steep. Looks like about 45 degrees. And I think I chose 2 points that were too close on this one, and that's going to cause some issues, and it's going to kind of screw up your maneuver because you're going to be doing pretty steep turns, and you're not going to cross your road. Wings parallel, it's just going to kind of throw you off. So you can see that kind of triangle there in the window that just showed up. I think that was my other point. So I'm kind of turning almost directly over it, so that's kind of an indication that you're too close together. The points are too close together on the ground. So those were probably half a mile apart, where I maybe needed 3/4 to a mile, especially with winds being that strong. So coming around the corner there, you can see I caught up and kind of adjusted for it. And that's what you do as a commercial pilot. You kind of cover up your mistakes a lot better. You're better at flying your own plane. So I just did that. It was pretty straightforward, so there's really not much more to explain. So I kind of reevaluated again with the clouds, and I kind of decided I just wanted to go back because I was not really liking just having to watch clouds and just staying on the margin in front of it. So I decided just to head straight back to Centennial and land, because I thought that'd be the safest thing, and didn't really feel like I needed much more work. I think the other thing was lazy 8s, which I've put in previous videos and beaten to death. Alright, so as I round up base to final, I just want to say thank you for watching this video and all the other videos in the series. I hope you enjoyed them and learned a lot about commercial single engine training. If you did miss any of the videos, link in the down bar will be to the playlist, and you can watch those videos at your convenience. Look out for those 2 Twin Star videos that'll come out in the next 2 weeks. I think they're going to be pretty cool. I hope you'll enjoy those as well. If you like this narration style of video, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. I want to know if you like it. And if you have any questions in general, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Additionally and lastly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. And as always, we'll see you next time.